Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the car vlogs, the first car vlog of 2026. And because it's the first car vlog of 2026, and we're on the Telling channel, and we're trying to get to 200 subscribers this year, this title of this video, and possibly the thumbnail, will probably be the most clickbait ever. It probably will be called something absolutely ridiculous, like buying a house, having a baby, getting married, all the jazz, right? Something that big, right? Just to try and grab the attention of the viewer. Just because we're going to talk about a few bits and pieces. But let me get comfy in the car whilst we do the car vlog and have a little chat. Practice my radio voice. Not straining it, not shouting at the camera, but just calmly getting comfortable and talking. Whew. So, I've just dropped Helen off, which is sadly something I've been doing now for the last nearly 5 years. We were shacked up in our lovely place, our little homely nest, up at university in Huddersfield. And it was great up there, you know, it was good fun. It was a big challenge. When we went to university, Helen's mum and sister wanted us to stay in uni dorms, which are like the apartments. My mum suggested having a house. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and my mum won't mind me saying this. Sometimes me and my mum don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. But with hindsight, I've got to give my mum credit. I wish we'd have gotten a house straight away, because we would have enjoyed it a lot longer. But I digress. I don't like to give my mum brownie points too much. I don't want to get in an ego, but she was right about that. I'll give her that. Helen's sister and her mum were very positive about the idea of getting an apartment, flat, share, dorm, whatever. Now, I don't know why, but that was their advice. And me and Helen, for whatever reason, probably because Helen wanted to go with their idea, and I love Helen, so I'll follow her to the end of the universe, I went with it. And we went into our flat. Long story short, what happened was fairly cut and dry. It was very simple. It was always going to happen. Me and Helen are very calm, relaxed, we're very mature for our age, and stereotypically, when you go to university, you're all mixed with different people, and people who like to party and partake in some cheeky substances and be a little bit loose with their inhibitions. But the joke's on them, because instead of, getting rocked up in an apartment full of alpha male football rugby lads, we were rocked up with 3 women and 1 fella, and the fella was basically a Mormon, and the 3 ladies were proper stereotypical girly girls, makeup, fake tan, the lot. They had lots of parties where they invited more of their girly friends around to ours for pre-drinks, something that I didn't really understand, but they did. And so whatever the ulterior motives of getting the apartment was, clearly didn't work out, because we were basically surrounded by the female cast of Love Island every evening, and I was just there in my pajamas drinking my cup of tea and getting ready to settle down and get into bed at midnight, while everyone else was getting out partying and going a bit nuts. But me and Helen were basically mum and dad of the flat, which was great. We had a bunch of crackhead daughters that we had to look after, and 1 Mormon son, who was very good. But then COVID happened. Now, I have to hit this with a huge censor bar. If you lost anybody to COVID, or COVID negatively impacted you in any way, a million apologies. I'm really sorry for you. I genuinely didn't know what that felt like, because I was ridiculously lucky that, and I'm not a religious person, but I would, if I did believe in it, I would thank some almighty being for protecting the people in my life. Because, thank God, for a Turner phrase, we got through COVID without anyone in our families being impacted, both on my side and Helen's side. Now, so many of our friends had family members get hit with COVID, long COVID, all the technicalities of COVID that were difficult to deal with, and obviously that's awful. But I am a half glass kind of full kind of person. I've been down and out a lot of times in my life, but I've always found a way to get back up and keep on trying. And I like to try and look at even the worst kinds of situations with the funny positive or a good take on it. And for COVID, it was the first time in my life, as someone who feels overwhelmed by the pressure of people, the amount of people, I was like constantly getting my head done in at sixth form, college, university. I started to feel a bit better, but basically ever since I left primary school and started high school and then finished sixth form college, which I think I only made it through thanks to my best friend from childhood, Todd, and my 3 new friends from sixth form college, Danny, Neve and Lillian, who are like blood to me now. They are better than family for me. They're more than friends, they are family. I love them. And without those guys, I don't think we could have made it through. But we did, and I needed some time off to just recover because it was crazy. It was a hard period of time, and Helen got me through it. The team of friends that I've got that are, like I say, they're like family. They're not really friends. The word doesn't do them justice. But we got through it, and uni gave me a good break of life. I was away from the same streets I grew up on for 20 plus years. I was away from my scenery. I got a new taste of life. I got a new scening. I got a new setting. I got a new setup. Everything was good. I was with Helen for the first time as a couple, and we fell in love with it. And Helen's been sorting out the footage on her phone recently because she needs to backdate it and update it and all this stuff. And we were going through all of our uni pictures and all of our uni videos, and we were just tearing up because literally they have been some of the best years of our lives together as a couple. We've nearly been together. This 2026 is going to be when we've been together for 9 years. And in those 9 years, we've only lived together for 3 of them. Because obviously we met as teenagers. We were 15 and 16 when we met each other. And then obviously now Helen's going to be 25 in February. So we've been together for a chunk of time. And we've only lived together. We've only had the chance to live together for 3 years, which was the university, which is great. But not the only reason I went to university was to live with Helen. Don't get me wrong, I loved university and I loved all the people I met, and I'm very grateful for them, but I don't really use my creative writing and my drama degree very often. But it was good. It was a notch on my belt and I was happy to have it. And it meant getting to live with the love of my life for 3 years, which is something I've been robbed of ever since uni and pre-uni. So we lived together at uni. It was fantastic. It was the best time of our lives. And COVID made it better because it literally gave us no excuses. We were locked in a building together. It's the perfect recipe if you were going to write a romantic comedy of what could drive 2 people crazy: COVID. And I'm amazed. There probably is, if you Google them, there probably is romantic comedies based around COVID or some kind of pandemic, because that's the perfect setting. You've got a man and a woman who've never lived together before. You've locked them in an apartment together, and they've got to survive a COVID outbreak. And the government has said you've got to stick together. Your families can't get involved. You can't even have your friends around. It's just you 2. That's like the perfect catalyst for a reason to break up. And we fought through it. We made it better for each other. Things that were scary on the news, we were happy, we were safe, we looked after each other. Whenever we were feeling ill or under the weather, we took care of each other. I got my wisdom teeth through in COVID. And honestly, if you've never had wisdom teeth, you know, the feeling of having your wisdom teeth coming through is awful. But I had it in COVID, and Helen looked after me like a nurse. She was like Florence Nightingale. She absolutely saved me through COVID with the worst case of teeth pain I'd ever had in my life. And I wasn't even allowed a dentist. I was gargling bloody salt water and drinking honey and all this kinds of stuff. There's crazy home remedies. And she looked after me like a unit. And like, we had a great time. We loved it. We were meant to go on holiday. The holiday got cancelled because of COVID. We got a refund. We were laughing with each other while we were sat on hold. We had movie nights. We got Disney Plus. I showed her what Star Wars was. We went back and we watched all these films that she didn't watch growing up. All these classic Disney films. It was great. It was an amazing time of life. And then we learned how to live together. At the time, I didn't even cook. I'd never even cooked before uni. And Helen taught me little bits on how to cook. Now I cook all the time. I've not stopped cooking since I came home from uni, and I absolutely love it. And me and Helen learned so much about each other. We progressed so far as a couple, and we did so many amazing things during the lockdown together, and it made our relationship stronger. And then what came after was the really tough bit. It was the bit where we graduated, and that is the big reward at the end of university. You graduate, everyone's supposed to be over the moon. I wasn't. I was probably the saddest person in the world when I graduated, because after graduation, I was saying goodbye to so many of my friends that were local to me. I was saying goodbye to the house that I'd fell in love in. We were in a flat for a year, and then we moved to a house for 2 years, and the house was great. We're buying our first home. We're getting our keys soon, but the first house we ever shared was this 100-year-old plus Victorian house. It was old, it was derelict nearly on the inside, it was very decrepit. It needed a lot of help to rejuvenate it. But we made it into our home, and we loved it. We loved everything that was right and wrong with it, and we just fell in love with it. And goddamn, I miss it. I miss it so much. I can't tell you. If I could wake up tomorrow and be back in that house, I would give everything. I'd give it all. My Pokemon cards, my Lego. You can take me right hand because I'm left-handed. I'd go back there tomorrow in a heartbeat. Because it was the first time in my life I was feeling independent. I was feeling happy. I was feeling like my own person. And I was being motivated by my partner. And it was the place we were just made for that house. And it was so good. And the landlords loved us, and we had a great time there, and we had our first Halloween together as a couple, and we put a bowl out for trick-or-treating, and the little swines nicked it. They nicked the bowl of sweets, and that was funny, and we were laughing about that, and we decorated the house, and we were laughing about that. I mean, it was just a home. We just made a bricks and mortar into a home. And that's something we've never had before as a couple, is a joint house. And when we lost that after graduation, it just sent me in a spiral. It was really tough. It was really tough. And then I did a year of doing YouTube. And we did well. But we just needed more time. And then I had the hardest conversation in my life. Because I had to see what really came more important to me. Would it be to stick around trying to do YouTube full time, where it wasn't making as much money as it could have been? Or do I have to go in for a full-time job in order to get me and Helen into our own house again? And that was a conversation me and Helen had. Because here's where my life literally went left or right. I could live at home with my mum and dad for the rest of my life. Or for the rest of theirs. I mean, I could. I very easily could. Still in the same village, in the same area, in the same streets that I grew up on the same roads, on the same shops, in the same area, in the same location. And I could do YouTube for the rest of my life. I 100% believe that my dad, because he's a self-made businessman, my dad, he's never gone and worked a traditional 9-to-5 like most people's parents. He was a self-starter. He did it all himself. My mum and dad have had the privilege and the luck and the drive to be their own bosses their whole lives. They've never had to have a job interview, work for somebody, none of it. They've been in charge of themselves their whole life. And there are people out there who are blue collar, 9-to-5, hard workers, who that would be like winning the lottery, to work for yourself, to be self-employed, to be your own person, to be your own boss. My mum and dad lived that life for such a long time. And with my sister, they did the same. But they were able to do it for so long that they could successfully pull out of it, and now they live retired lives, and they can do a little bit of work on the side when they want to, but ultimately they're now ready to rock and roll. They've got life sorted. They are in the position of life where it's sorted, and they can just relax and chill and enjoy. And I think that's successful. I think that's so successful. I'm at the start of that. I could be self-employed. I could be self-employed and do YouTube forever and live at home with my dad and my mum. And when YouTube started making even more money, start paying them a bit of money towards food and bills and things like that. Or I could go out and be my own person and have my own house and live with Helen. And that was always the plan. And I had to really give up something that I loved, YouTube, which is my dream job. It's definitely within my grasp. I can do it. But I need time and funding to do it. And that wasn't coming anytime soon. I needed my own house. I needed my own setup. I needed my own space. And that's where me and Helen had this conversation. And she was like, it's plain and it's simple. You can do YouTube forever and live at home with your mum and your dad. And we can get our house way later down the line, way later in life. Or you can work a full-time job and keep up with your YouTube. I know it's hard, but you can do that. I've done shit like that before. But with school, and I got successful. I did uni. I graduated uni. And that year, the 3 years we were at uni, was the most successful the YouTube channel has ever been. And Helen said to me, you know, in the future, you know, there's no reason why you can't, if we work it out logistically, there's no reason why you can't go back to try and do it full time again. If we get more funding, if we get more help, if we get more, you know, if we get a sponsor for the channel or something, there's no reason why you can't do that. But for now, if we are on the same page about wanting our own house, you need to go out there and get a full-time job. And she was doing that. She was grafting. She was doing a full-time job, and then she applied and she got another full-time job with more pay. And then she said to me, listen, I can't do this alone. I need your help. And that's when I saw from Helen's point of view how badly she wanted it. She wanted her own house. She wanted her own independence. And that's where the two of us, who I think have grown up quite bubbled and isolated and insulated, we decided to become adults. In that moment, that was where we decided to knuckle down and become adults. And we locked in. And we've been locked in for about 4 years. And don't get me wrong, it's been fucking hard. But we did it. And we've been through a lot, and we've done a lot, and we should be really proud of ourselves, and we are. But when we get to walk into that house with you guys on the camera for the first time ever, I want to document it all properly. I don't want family rushing up to be excited. I know that, and I'm buzzing for them, but I don't want them swarming us straight away. I want them to just give us a little bit of wiggle room to get in there, to look at it, decorate it a little bit, start straightening it bits up. I do want them to see it as a work in progress, because obviously Helen and I want them to experience the glow up that we're going to do with the house. But I want to be able to have a bit of time to go in there, no one else, not an audience, just me and Helen rock up there for the first few times with our own camera, sit down somewhere and just talk together. Because she's not been on this channel so often because of timing. She works a different job. She lives in a different place than I do at the moment. We're not living together at the minute. It's impossible to get her on the camera half the time during the week. So holidays and trips and things like that, where we're just trying to have fun and document, we're not able to sit down and talk house on camera very often. So it'd be lovely to be able to get her in, and she'll go through all the behind the scenes with us as well, and we can go through the stories and what was happening. Because we'd like to make a guide, a very, very easy to digest guide on how to be a young couple buying your first house. Because there's not a lot of content out there for people like that. And I think that's really helpful. We don't learn that in school. Our families have owned their own homes for ages. So it's changed since they started doing it. You know, it's been decades since they've bought their own houses. So it's been a while. And the world's changed a lot. And I think having a comprehensive guide to how to buy your own property would be sensational to do. And I think young people out there, younger than me and Helen, or older than me and Helen, would get some advice from it and would learn a thing or two from it. And it'd be just interesting to then be able to look at it like, this was us moving in day one, This is us the day that we were finished with all of our mini projects and the house is looking a bit nicer. This is the family's reactions to the house. This is the friends' reactions to the house. This is us living in the house, doing a bit of daily life content, talking about things like getting engaged and having babies and weddings and parties and all this kind of jazz. And then having a comprehensive dialogue from start to ongoing of where we were, and then do like a 10-year, 5-year roundup where we're like 5 years later, this is where we're at. 10 years later, this is where we're at. And document it. This Helen channel has been so small because apart from when Helen's been on gaps from work, I've been on gaps from work, and they've synchronized with each other. That's the only time we're able to actually document what's going on in our lives. And that's really hard when you don't live in the same postcode. So now that we're going to have our own house, our own setup, our own sanctuary, where we can actually have some peace and settle down and record and film together, this channel's got an opportunity to start getting some legs under it. So if that's something you're interested in, do hit subscribe. I understand this day and age, everyone's got a small attention span. They just swipe and scroll and swipe and scroll. That's not for you. That's not this channel. If you are interested in more long-form content, this is the place to be. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one for the next car vlog. Peace.